Hello everyone. Tonight we are going to have a special guest. His story is incredible. You have got to hear it. But before I get started, this is our new sweater. So if you would like to purchase something Be Revealed, they are there at Be Revealed, www.be-revealed.com. Check it out. We can customize the sweaters for you. We have affirmation t-shirts. We have our mugs, the mugs that I drink in. Guys, our live tonight is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. I am going to show you what Levi looks like. This is it. This was Levi. So Levi, I do see you here. Can you please send a request so I can see you? Love your spirit, Berlange. Thank you so much. Thank you. Levi is coming. Hi.
Berlange, how are you doing?
There it is. I was waiting for you to say it. I think you're like, when I heard the way you pronounce my name, I'm like, oh, he got it.
I was so worried I was going to mess it up. It's such a pretty name. I didn't want to, totally butcher it.
No, you got it. You got it, Levi. The first time we actually exchanged voice, so then you said my name. I'm like, wait a minute. Is it French? Like, you just had it. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm great. Now that you are here, we are going to do this. So I must tell everyone that we actually met on Clubhouse. People have been telling me about Clubhouse for a while, and I never was really interested because anything about follow me, and all of that is not really my thing, social media. So I try to not use it too much, and any other new apps that comes my way, I kind of shy away from it. But I joined when we met. I actually had just joined probably about 2 weeks. And
no way.
I heard you speaking. And right away, like I told you, I was just like, I gotta have him on my show. So thank you so much for saying
I appreciate it, honestly. It's my pleasure. So
absolutely. No, pleasure is all mine. Don't do that. Don't do that. I love your backdrop. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a good old IKEA world map.
I love it.
Classy. I love to travel, so I'm all about having maps and things around me for sure.
I love the inspiration. So Levi, we are going to get right to it. I am going to, you have so much going on. You have so much, and I want you to just tell it all. Tell it all. We want to find out all about you. You are doing such an amazing job with who you are, your story, your post. I've been looking at your post and I'm like, okay, I hope he don't think I'm stalking because I'm all like, love. Oh, so Levi, please tell us all about yourself. Who is Levi?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Berlange. Honestly, if it was anyone else kind of liking all my photos and stuff, I'd be like, what's going on here? But since it was you, I'm like, okay, I feel honored to have you liking my posts. So it was perfect. So for those of you tuning in, my name is Levi Stanford. I'm a motivational speaker and musician. And about 6 years ago, it'll be 6 years in July, I was in an accident 5 days after I got married. And so we had a hospital honeymoon, which for Canada, it's affordable. It's not very fun though, I'll tell you that much. But I got in this accident, I lost my left hand. I almost lost my life. And up until this point, if you would have asked me, gave you a name of a motivational speaker, I would have been like, people speak? What? Like, I had no idea. That wasn't even in any plans at all for me doing that. And then when I woke up from my coma, I had this just really strong calling that said, this is what you need to do. And so I answered the call and I pursued it, and I started traveling around, and now I mainly focus on the youth. And I do speak to adults as well, but the youth is where I kind of put my focus, just because I feel like with today's society and everything, our youth really need it. And they're the ones who are going to build the society for us in 20 and 30 years, right? And so it's so important that they're being taught all these core values and actually having a way to build the foundation for our future, because it's so important. So before COVID hit, I was traveling to high schools, middle schools, and speaking and that sort of thing. Now I've taken everything online, so I do online speeches now. And I'm also a musician. And so when I speak, I actually perform a song or two that I've written. And I actually have a full album that I put out in 2018 with 17 songs on it. And I taught myself how to play piano with my hook. So it's like Captain Hook in the cartoon when he's playing the piano. I can rock that thing. And I'm still trying to learn how to play guitar again. I got to switch everything over to this side. And I'm working on building a better attachment for this. But that's kind of what I've been going on. And right now I actually have a children's book that is almost being finished illustrated. So I'll be publishing that hopefully in the next month. And what else? I got an online program I'm building, and I'm working on my second album. So I got a lot going on here.
Oh my gosh, Levi, this is so exciting. I'm sitting here listening to you for someone who have never spoken before publicly until this incident happened. And all of a sudden you're like, you're amazing. You're so great.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. You're going to make my head explode.
No, absolutely. I would never guess. I thought you've been doing this and this incident happened and you just kept on going. So I know you talked about you had your honeymoon at the hospital in Canada. So can you take us back to what exactly happened? Your whole obsession, just take us back to that day.
Absolutely. So I love fireworks. I grew up my whole life making fireworks and that sort of thing. I was actually considering doing demolition as a career because I love the science behind it. You can mix chemicals and have different colors and reactions and that sort of thing. And so I've been working on this waterproof explosive. Basically, I would put it into a body of water, and I would have electric cables going to it. That way I could touch it to a battery at a far away distance so that when it went off, I was far enough away it would be safe, but it would shoot this huge geyser of water up into the air that I thought would just be so cool. So it was 2.5 pounds worth of this explosive. So my wife and I, we get married on a Friday, and then just 5 days after, so on the following Wednesday, my family was having this big get together because my nephew had just been adopted into the family, right? So we were having this celebration dinner. And then my brother gets the idea, since I had some family who were from out of town, he said, well, why don't we get some of the family and go out to this popular swimming spot just outside of town? There's these old abandoned train bridges that you can jump off into the reservoir. It's a lot of fun. So of course, I mean, this all sounds so redneck, I know. I'm from a little town, but this is what we do for fun. So we all go out of town. It's my wife, my brother, his wife, my sister, and then my 15-year-old niece. And they're all standing on this bridge. So I walk across the bridge and jump down this embankment, and I'm standing on the kind of the shore of the river. And I get my explosive all ready, and I tell my brother, I said, okay, let's get this thing on film. We want to get the geyser going off. So he starts recording. And unfortunately, because the stores were closed, I wasn't able to get the long cables that I needed to do that safe ignition. So I thought, well, if I just get a burn fuse, that's about 2.5 minutes worth of burn time, I can just light this fuse, throw it in the container with the explosives, screw on the lid, and I'll have plenty of time to get out of there. But I was so focused and became so complacent, I didn't think that a long fuse like this in a small container would have more of a chance of lighting itself off early. So I light it, I screw on the lid, and just as I pull my hand away, it goes off. So it's over 2.5 pounds of explosive going off pretty much right by my face. The force of the blast was actually so strong, it blew my clothes off and fractured the orbital bones in my face. So these bones right below my eyes were broken. And it should have killed me instantly. There was miracle after miracle that happened that kept me alive. And I just remember getting knocked over and feeling like I was hit by a truck. And all I could hear was screaming from my family because where they were standing, all they saw was a cloud of smoke. They didn't know if I was alive or dead on the other side. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I have to be dead. There's no way I just survived that. And then all of a sudden, this huge rush of pain came in. I'm like, I'm alive. I'm alive. And I start looking around, and I look over, and my left hand was gone. And when I saw that, I just remember thinking, this can't be happening. I'm a musician. How am I going to play guitar again? How am I going to do this? And it just seemed like time slowed down. But then I realized, if I don't get out of here, I'm going to die. And so I started to stand up, and I tried to walk. But because of the condition of my legs and everything, I just fell and collapsed, and I couldn't walk. And so my family decided that they were going to come down and help me. Now, my wife, she started walking over there. My sister stopped her and said, Amy, you don't want to go see Levi. He's in really rough shape right now. Just stay here. And my wife, she was, panicking. Her husband just got blown up. And then she starts thinking, and this is how amazing my wife is. She takes in a big, deep breath, and she says, Amy, your husband needs you right now. Buck her up and get down there and help him. And so from that point on, she did everything she needed to do in order to help save my life. So my family, they all get down there, and they decide they're going to try to carry me across these mud flats, up this steep river embankment, across this train bridge that was built in about 1930. So it has these old trusses going across to get me to my truck, than to drive me to the place where the ambulance can pick me up. So they're carrying me about halfway up this river embankment. I'm weighing about 220 pounds. I'm covered head to toe in blood. There was no way they could pick me up. I just kept slipping and falling. And then finally, my sister, she was behind me and she was lifting most of my body. She slipped and fell and then just burst into tears. And she said, Levi, I can't do this. I have no strength left in me. Just please, please forgive me. And at that moment, I had this impression that said, stand up. And so I told my family I was going to try to stand. So my sister, she puts her hand on my back and gives me just a huge shove. And I was able to stand up and get up that river embankment as though nothing was wrong with me. There was a lot of miracles that happened that day. Now I'm looking at this train bridge and I'm thinking, I have to get across this freaking death trap. You know, I made it this far and now I'm going to die trying to cross this thing because there was nails, there was some trusses missing. I mean, it was a death trap waiting to happen. But I knew that if I didn't get across it, I was going to die. And so, of course, I just threw my arms around my sisters and I just started walking and praying that I could get across this bridge. And by this point, I had a lot of blood in my eyes, so I could barely see. And one of the miracles that happened this day is that I was able to get across that bridge as though nothing was wrong with me. Every step that I took was exactly in every spot I needed to be. I didn't step on any nails or fall into any cracks or anything. Now, my family, they get me to this point in the bridge where there's a big truss missing. So there's about a 4-foot gap and there was no way I was going to get across this thing. So my brother, he decides to back up my truck onto the bridge with the tailgate down to cover up this gap. That way I could just roll into the box of the truck. Now, of course, everyone's adrenaline is flying and he was paying more attention trying not to back the truck off the bridge, that he wasn't really paying attention to see how far back he was going. And so I'm standing there just kind of waiting for it when something hits me. And he hit me with the tailgate, kind of added a little insult to injury there. So he just kind of bumped me and I was like, oh, gee. And then I rolled into the box of the truck. My wife jumped in there with me and then my family climbed in and we took off trying to meet up with the ambulance. Now I'm in the box of this truck on a dirt road going, you know, rally car speed. So I'm getting tossed around in the back and I'm in just so much pain. And I remember asking my wife, I said, Amy, do I still have my face? Is my face still there? And she says, yes, Levi, you still have your face. Because I thought this whole side of my face was gone. And then she, you know, priorities took over. And I basically said, Amy, this is kind of watered down, but I said, Amy, I've got to know, are we still going to be able to have kids? She says, yes, we're good. Can still have kids. And it kind of broke the ice a little bit in that moment, kind of helped us relax a little bit because it was such a tense situation. And then came the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And I said, Amy, I mean, looking at the condition I was in, not having a hand and being shrapnel all over my body, I said, Amy, I want you to know that you have my blessing to be remarried. I don't think I'm going to make it. And I don't want you going the rest of your life not knowing if I would have been okay with it. Essentially, I was saying goodbye. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do because I thought for sure I was going to die. And then my wife, being the amazing woman that she is, she said, Levi, what are you talking about? You have so many people's lives you're going to touch. You're not going anywhere. You have so much to do in this life. And then we continued to pray together, and she was just a huge strength for me in that moment. Now, there was a crazy miracle that happened. So we were driving on a dirt road that met up with a highway. And we were actually on the largest native reserve in all of Canada. And so my niece, when she called the ambulance, she said, my uncle blew himself up on the reserve. And so the ambulance had no idea where they were going. They were just taking off to the nearest reserve. And so when we pulled onto the highway, we pulled on about 15 seconds before the ambulance passed us. So if I would have been 10 or 15 seconds later, I would have missed the ambulance and for sure would have died. So timing, everything was perfectly lined up so that I could live. Now, when they got me to the hospital, they had to sedate me so they could fly me up to Calgary in a larger hospital up there so that they could deal with amputation and everything. And when they sedated me, I felt my life just slip away. And I remember thinking in this moment, this is it. I'm dying. My life is passing on, and I thought my existence was ceasing, and I let myself go to it. And in that moment, when I thought my life was over, I just felt this huge blanket of love and peace just come and wrap around me, and I knew that everything was going to be okay. And I didn't want to have to go back and face the pain. I mean, I was in so much pain. And so I just let myself kind of be wrapped around this love, and then I started thinking. And I started thinking about a wife of just 5 days having to mourn her husband. And I started thinking about my parents and my brothers and sisters and having to mourn their son or their brother. And I said, no, wait a minute, hold on. I don't want to die. And I just started pleading, and I was like, please just let me live. Just let me go back for 5 minutes to say my proper goodbyes if that's all I get. Just please don't let me die. And then all of a sudden I hear this voice calling out, and it's my wife. And I hear her, and she's saying, Levi, you're waking up. You're doing so good. And I'm like, what? And I open up my right eye. I can't see out of my left. I had shrapnel in it. But I open up my eye, and there's my wife standing there smiling back at me. And I just remember being filled with so much joy because I was basically reborn. I got my second chance at life. And I just wanted to scream at the top of my lungs, but I had this breathing tube shoved down my throat. So it was like, Gah! You know, but I was so happy to be alive. And it really put things into perspective for me. I mean, from that point on, I remember laying in my hospital bed just looking at the sunset, and I was bawling because I was like, I never thought I'd see the sunset again. Or when I got out of the hospital, I went and I hugged a pine tree, and I was like, I never thought I would smell a pine tree again. Like, it was crazy, but I was just so happy to be alive. And when I was laying in my hospital bed, I thought it was strange because here I was in a situation, I'm missing my hand. I couldn't use this hand. I have a huge skin graft on my forearm. I was basically a vegetable. I couldn't do anything, but I was happy. I was so happy. And that made me realize at that point that really our happiness in life doesn't entirely depend on the circumstances surrounding us. It doesn't entirely depend on what we're going through, but how we perceive it, how we're thinking about the trials and the things that we're facing. That's what really determines our happiness and our attitude, right? And there's a lot of situations where it is hard, but the way we process it and the way we look at it makes a huge difference. And as I went through my process, I saw that so many people in the hospital were struggling. There was a lot of people, because I was in the burn unit, who had just gotten skin grafts or something, and they were depressed. And the fact that I was so happy, I could see made an impact on them. And I said, this is what I want to do. And I had this calling that said, this is what you need to do. You need to go inspire people who feel like that life has nothing good to offer, and inspire them to find something to be grateful for, find that joy in life. And so that's what initially inspired me to do what I'm doing now. So that's my story in a nutshell anyways.
Oh my gosh, just give me a minute to process all of this while you're speaking. And I'm like, like all these emotions, and I felt this chill. The way you talk about your wife, Amy. Amy is a hero.
She is incredible.
Wow. Please, after this live, I need you to hug Amy for not for you, for me, for me, because thank you, Amy. Thank you. You said a whole lot. I mean, your testimony and the fact that within your trial, you were able to realize what your purpose is. Within all of that that was happening to you, you realize, hey, this is my calling. I've actually found my calling to speak to people that are depressed, to encourage people in the midst of your chaos. How incredible is that?
It was definitely divine intervention. I believe it was, because like I said, up until this point, I would have never, ever considered doing anything like that. But it was just this deep calling inside of myself that said, you need to help people. You need to inspire people through your music and whatever you can. And so I couldn't ignore it. If I would have tried to pursue something else, I know I would have been pushed back into this, because it was truly inspirational.
My God. I cannot thank you enough. I always tell people that God is so personal. You have to experience what you just talked about right now in order for you to understand the magnitude. When you are called for something, nothing can stop you. And sometimes you go through the fire, literally, like you did.
Yeah.
And had I told you, or anybody else told you, Levi, this is what you would be doing, you would say, no, I don't think so. But you had to experience it in order for you to be this person that you are. You are incredible, and you are not here by accident. There's a specific purpose and calling over your life, and I am so glad that you get to live as a testimony, not only to encourage yourself and those around you, but people all across the globe. And this is why I'm having you right now. When I heard you the first time, you didn't even say much about your story, and I was just like, whoa, I'm moved. I am moved. And what you just said right now, it's all about your perspective, how you see things. Sometimes we just have to just basically wash our eyes, clean our eyes in order for us to get a different perspective of what's happening to us you know, and I love that. I love that. I love what you're
Absolutely.
doing.
I love what you said, cleaning your eyes, because we do. We see things through the filter that we have created, right? All of our life experiences, what we've been taught growing up, create this filter, and that's how we see life. And until you're ready and humble enough to wipe away this filter, you can't really take things in and see the inspiration that's coming at you. So
That's it. That's it. I know you were saying that when you laid in the hospital bed, you first of all, can we talk about priority? Telling your wife, will I still be asking your wife, will you still be able to have children? I mean,
I said it in a little more abrupt terms, but I thought I would PG it down
I
a little
mean,
bit.
well,
But
I get exactly what you say. I mean, this is you, this is that, and your wife is in the middle. You're like, can I still, just before dad come around and grab you, you're asking your wife, can I, that's incredible. That's amazing.
you got.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've always kind of tried to have. I love humor. I find humor is one of the best things in order to get through adversity, and so that I've always just been that kind of person where, even in the worst of situations, I always find some sort of way to make it funny or to make a joke that's tasteful, not like, there's a time and place, but I feel like at that moment it was perfect because we were just so stressed out. And when I said that, both of us could kind of take a big deep breath in and, focus on just keeping me alive.
It was great. It works. I mean, it cracked me up like, whoa, Levi, this is great. And I'm sure at that point, your wife just knew, all right, she's has got to keep encouraging you, supporting you, because she needs you. You need to be alive for this. So I know you said in the hospital, going back to what we were saying, before you heard your wife saying you're doing better, when you were laying there in the hospital bed, how did you feel? How was your mental health? What were you thinking at that point? What were you going through?
So it's a great question. Thank you. So when I first woke up, I was ecstatic. I was happy to be alive. I was on cloud nine. Just my family was there, and I couldn't have been happier. And then my family left because I was in the ICU, and so they had to go for the night. And I actually had, so kind of a bit of a backstory. I had a brother-in-law who overdosed on Oxycontin. He broke his back, got prescribed it, then he got addicted to it. Mm-hmm. And that made a huge impact on me because they were trying to give me these really powerful pain medication, and I didn't want it. And I was like, I had this PTSD from what happened to my brother-in-law. I didn't want to touch it. But I didn't understand that if you're in pain, your body actually needs that to help you heal. And you only become addicted if you start to use it for long uses of time. And so the nurses would come in and say, hey, Levi, what's your pain level at? And I'd be like, oh, I'm a 2, I'm a 3, it's fine. But really, it was like 15 out of 10. I was in so much pain. And about 2 a.m, I hadn't been able to sleep because of all my pain. I finally broke. And all that joy and peace that I felt throughout the day was immediately gone. And all these dark thoughts started flooding in saying, you idiot, you moron, look what you did to yourself. For what? A pyrotechnic? Your life is over. You are now a burden on your family. You are useless. And I just started beating myself up. Mm-hmm. And I got in a really dark spot. And I just remember crying and I just basically poured my heart out. And I said, how could you let this happen to me? I'm talking to God. I said, how could this happen to me? Like, I had so much going for me. I just got married and I was just so angry. And then I had this feeling that came over me and it said, Levi, you don't have a left hand, but you have a right hand. You may be having a hard time seeing and hearing, but at least you can see and hear. You may be having a hard time breathing, but guess what? You're breathing. You're alive when you should be dead. What are you complaining about? Life is good. And in that moment, it finally hit me. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't be here. And from that point on, I decided to focus all my efforts onto what I could control. Because what I was focusing on were things beyond my control. I was focusing on a hand that wasn't going to grow back, no matter how much I water it and set it out in the sun. I'm not going to get a little mini hand anytime soon. I was focused on my situation and all the things I couldn't control. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to focus all my efforts onto getting my movement back in this arm, to learning to walk again, to feed again, and be able to get out of the hospital and start living my life. And so when I switched my focus onto that, that's when things started moving forward for me and that I could actually do that. And not only that, but the darkness that had clouded me when I was focusing on these things I couldn't control, that was able to lift. Now, there were times after that where it was hard. It was hard trying to walk again. It was hard trying to get movement again. And those thoughts would start to come back. But every time they did, I would stop and pivot and think, you know what? No, my life isn't over. No, my life has so much more to give. And I would focus on that stuff. And it's still today, I even have thoughts. You know, I'm trying to do my pants up and the button isn't working quite right. And I just remember being so easy with two hands. And sometimes these thoughts come in saying, you know, what if you had two hands and stuff? And I got to just look it away and say, no, this is my life now. Look at all the things I can do. So I learned the hard way right then and there about pivoting your thoughts. If you have these dark thoughts coming in, you got to pivot and focus on what's realistic and what you can control.
Levi, this is absolutely amazing. Focusing on what we can control. As human, we tend to focus on the negative, the things that we cannot control. We wish, what if? Well, you know what? What if? This is what it is. Class Q here say your positivity is so intoxicating. Love it. It is. The way you view your views on life, and it's going to happen. These little talk in your head, these little voices that we hear all the time. Look at me, I can't do this. I wish, you know, why did this happen to me? And to be able to speak to yourself, to stand in front of your adversity and face your fears and say, you know what, this is my reality and I have to make it work. It's powerful. You know, a lot of people are not able to do that. And for you to be able to do that, it's actually, it's amazing. There's no words to describe your positive outlook on life. It's great.
I really appreciate that. And I feel the same with you. Every time you talk, I just feel the joy enter in because you radiate so much positivity and I love it.
Listen, if I was not on live, if it was just you and I talking, I would have been bawling right now because as positive as I am, I have my days. I'm just like, you know what? I'm so over it. I'm done. I don't want to deal with this. And I try to speak over myself. And I have my really, really close friend that I would always call on to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And he'll be like, if you're feeling like this and you're responding this way, it's a choice. It's a choice. You know, change how you see the things that you see will change. Change how you speak to yourself. Change what you decide to listening to. Because when we speak, we listen to ourselves, and our brain picks it up, and we start to act how we're feeling. We start to put it out there in the universe, and all this negative stuff starts to entering through our brains, and then we start to. It's just a lot going on. But for you to be able to say, "Hey, stop!" For us, or for anybody for that matter on this life, to say, "Hey, this is what's happening right now. Stop it right now, and let's pivot. Let's redo this. We're gonna start over. It happens, but to be able to do this, it's incredible. Guys, if you are on this live, continue to share. I know people are dropping in and out. The live is great, Levi. I just want to keep you here to tell me all about what's going on. But we're going to move on with the next question. I know you are a great advocate for mental health, right? How are you feeling right now? I know you say you have your days, but really and truly, how does it really make you feel knowing that, you know, right now you have to work with what you have? How does it work? How do you manage?
I mean, as far as my accident goes and my disability, I've accepted it probably a couple of years ago, and it doesn't bother me too much right now. I've kind of been able to. I always look at our life as a mountain range, right? Once you get over one mountain, you go down, life is good, but there's so many more mountains you got to get over, right? Yeah. And so my accident was, I was able to get over that mountain. And actually a month after I got out of the hospital, my wife and I went away for the weekend just to kind of get, you know, back to life and whatnot. And then when we came home, someone had broken into our house, completely trashed our house, took all our valuables and stuff. And since we had just moved in, we didn't quite have renter's insurance. So we weren't covered for any of it. We had to pay for everything. And so back again, that's another mountain we had to climb. But because I had focused all my efforts on overcoming my accident and stuff, we were able to look at this situation and be like, you know what, at least we weren't here. What if someone had broken in when we were here? We could have been harmed, you know. And going through my accident, we were able to carry these keys of learning to focus on the positive and be grateful to help get us over that second mountain, right? And then the third mountain, my wife and I struggled to have kids for 2 years. And then, so life is just constantly going like this. But the more that we're willing to climb that first mountain, we take all these things that we learn that can help us climb the next mountains, right? So right now, for me, I actually, because of COVID, I had all these speaking engagements lined up. My career was really about to take off for speaking, and then COVID hit. All my speaking engagements got canceled and everything, and just took a nosedive. That was a huge, huge chunk of my income gone, right? And so luckily, I'm a firm believer of having a job to pay the bills until you can replace that income with your side hustle, then focus on your side hustle, not just quit and go for it, right? And so luckily I had that, so that I could actually work and have a steady income. But even then, it was really, really tough. And now I just found out, because of COVID and all the layoffs that are happening, that I might be losing that. And so I've been working my butt off to try and get all these things up and running so that I can replace that. So this is another mountain for me right now, is the stress of being able to provide for my family, right? And it's doing good. And I'm not worried anymore. A couple months ago, I was panicking, but now I got things settled out. But that's the thing. That's what it is about life, right? It's those ups and downs. And so for me, as far as my accident and stuff goes, that is a mountain I climbed a long time ago. But now I have all these new mountains coming in of, trying to provide for my family and all these different things. But I'm so grateful that I took the time to get over this accident, because like I said, it taught me to pivot and to work hard and to give all my best effort into focusing on what I can control. And I didn't learn that until this happened to me. So, and that's the thing, it's not until you get to the top of the mountain that you're able to look down and see, oh, look at all these things that I learned, A lot of people, when they first face adversity, they try to ask themselves, well, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? You can't learn anything until you climb and get over it. And then you look back and say, okay, that's what I learned from it. So
that's a word right there. You cannot learn anything until you make it through. And when you're at the top of the mountain and you look down, you're like, whoa, did I just do? Yeah.
What?
That was you. So you know what? All of that you've gone through, you are well equipped to get through this hurdle right now. And I feel like if you've gone through this accident, dude, you literally exploded yourself. Like,
yeah.
And you made it through. So there's nothing your family, especially with Amy by your side, you cannot conquer. It's I love your perspective. Now, I have to ask, have you made any explosive devices ever since the accident?
I've been tempted to, but Amy has always gone like this, and she says, you will not. But I think the biggest thing for me, so I had just started a business when I got in my accident. So I had actually put up all this money up front. So I had a lot of debt, but I was going to pay it off by working over the summer, right, with my business. So then when I got in my accident, I had no income coming in to pay all those debt and stuff off. And so my family didn't have anything to support us until I could get a job or whatever else. And so I'm a theater person. I do a lot of theater. So I was Tarzan and all this other stuff. And so the theater group that I was part of, they put on a fundraiser for me, and they were able to raise a bunch of money to help support me until I could get a job and get on my feet again. And so I just thought, it would be a huge slap in the face for me to still mess around with explosives when people donated their money to help me keep going. So I have so many hobbies and so many things I love. That was one thing that I could let go, and I could just focus on my music and videography and stuff. So I was sad. I still love fireworks, but I was willing to let that one go just because I was so grateful for what people had donated to me.
That's amazing. And it's good that you made peace with that part, with that aspect, with that love that you have with fireworks. And I'm glad you made that decision to not go back to it, because yeah.
Me too. Yeah. It was only yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Amy. Knowing how much you love fireworks or anything explosive of that sort, do you have any regrets of what happened? And do you have any regrets?
It's an awesome question. And if you would have asked me about a year after my accident, I would have said, yeah, absolutely. I want my hand back. when I was a kid, I wished I could be a pirate. I didn't actually think it would happen, right? And so you got to be careful what you wish for. But I would have wanted my hand back. But now, since it's been about 5 years, I look back at all the good I've been able to do with my story and the example I've been able to set for the youth in these schools. And I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't for a second, because honestly, the impact I've been able to have because of it has been something that I wouldn't have been able to do before. And because of that, I know within myself, this was supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And I look back at all the miracles that happened that day. And I personally know that God was saying, look, Levi, you're going to play with explosives anyway. I'm going to just put everything lined up for you to keep you alive. But this is how your life is going to be. And I was able to look back and see those miracles and say, yeah, I'm exactly where I need to be. And honestly, I've actually forgotten what it was like to have a left hand. I can still feel it. I have the phantom hand there, but what it was like to use it and stuff, I can't even really remember what that was like. So I've definitely pushed on. But yeah, like you said, I wouldn't take it back. I've been able to do so much good with it.
And that's beautiful that you're able to make peace with that life and you have no regret. That's beautiful when we can move forward in life without any regrets. And I think, like you said, this was ordained. It was meant to happen. Nothing in life happens by accident. It was meant to be. I wanted to ask you, when you take your cast off, I noticed in one part of your video that you still have half of arm a bit. What is that like? Do you have any restriction as to the people who I don't really know how to put it, but are you able to take that? Will you be able to show us?
Yeah, for sure. So this is my prosthetic, and there's actually a button right there. So I push on the button and it releases. So then I can just take it off like this. It's like wearing a backpack. So I take it off, and then this is what's left. So it's about, as you can see, basically right there is how much I lost. But so this is the official name for it is a stump or a nub, but I hate those words. So I just call it my chicken wing. It just kind of flips around. It's kind of useless, but my little chicken wing there. So there's actually this sleeve and it's got rubber on the back. And so the rubber sticks to my arm. It's not going to come off. And then this little metal thing right here, that's what actually clicks into the prosthetic and holds it on. So if you listen really close, when I slide this in, you'll hear it click into place. There we go. So now I can pull on it, everything else, and it's not coming off. And then I have a wrist socket here. If I twist this all the way over, it allows me to kind of angle my hook here. And then if it's in the middle, it's locked. I can't twist or pull it. And if it's all the way to the left, then I can pull it out and I can swap in different attachments and different hands and things like that. And I've actually made about 15 of my own attachments for this thing. So I have like a hamburger flipping attachment. I got a hot dog roaster, all these fun things. And one of my favorite things is when I speak at the schools and stuff, I bring all these attachments and I show them to the kids and they go nuts. Especially because I have a bull whip. So I have this long whip, and so I'll crack it and it sounds like a firecracker going off, and the kids, they go crazy. And so oh, it looks so. My wife just joined.
Hi,
Amy Stanford.
Amy. Yes, now I'm interested. I'm interested to know about the grocery store story. Hi, Amy. Thanks for tuning in.
She's put me on the spot. So I have an attachment. I don't have it here with me now, but it's a fake hand. So it looks like a hand. And when I pull on the cable, instead of opening and closing this hook, what it does is it opens and closes the hand like this. It's more or less for looks. I would only wear it with like a long sleeve shirt to cover up my prosthetic and then to have a hand. That way I didn't get a ton of attention. And so I go grocery shopping this one time and I get all my groceries together and I forgot that my wrist socket was turned all the way to the left. So I open up my hand, I put all the groceries in it. And then when I came down, the weight of the groceries actually popped the hand out and it was hanging there like this. And because I had a long sleeve shirt on, it covered all of this up. So it looked like my hand just popped off, right?
Yes.
And thinking nothing of it, I go to put it back and then I hear this scream and I turn around and this poor little girl was holding her mom's leg and she was like, "Mom, his hand fell off." And I'm like, "No." And I'm over there trying to shove my hand back in there and I just, oh man. Yeah. I wanted to go shopping and here I am scarring, kids for life.
Oh my God.
So I've had some interesting situations to say the least, but yeah.
Imagine. I can't believe he was trying to hide the story from us. Thank you, Amy. Always saved the day. Thank you, Amy.
She's always there to clean the skeletons out of my closet, for sure.
I know, right? Amy, we were talking about you. I wanted to say live again that you are so incredible. You are powerful. You are so needed. You're amazing, Amy. I love you for what you do. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. You are incredible. I will be sending you a message after. So thank you for tuning in. I can't believe Levi was trying to hide this story from us. Had I been this little girl, I would have been screaming.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh. I was apologizing profusely to the mom. I was like, I'm so sorry. This doesn't happen, I swear. Yeah, pretty awkward.
You guys, those of you who are here and those of you who will be watching this live because it will be on my page, Levi has a lot of great posts. I watched a post that you posted. I don't remember when, where you showing how you pick up your daughter with the one arm. It's very nice. It's cute. I love it. I love that you are having fun with your arms. I love that you are in tune and in peace with your story. You are owning your truth, and it looks great. It's beautiful.
I appreciate it so much, honestly.
Love it. I love it. Last but not least, I know I have to let you go. I really don't want to. I hope we can do this again, and I will be following closely because I love what you do. Oh, before the last, I wanted to ask you about your hat.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Class Who mentioned it. I wanted to ask you, before I ask you the last question.
Yeah.
What is that? Give us a little bit about that.
So this is my logo that I created. So it's a pirate hook with my initials LS on it, Levi Stanford. So I joined TikTok last year, and my TikToks took off. I'm at 1.1 million followers now, and
Wow,
I thought I might as well make a merchandise line because a lot of people were like, we want the merch, we want the merch. So this is on my website. I have this hat, and it's I also have a ton of clothes with this logo. But I also really try to focus on positive merchandise. So right now I'm trying to create a line called Keep Moving Forward. Just basically that's kind of my message. My motto in life is just to keep moving forward. And actually the shirt that I'm wearing is one of the shirts. So it says, love is patient, love is kind, right? And so I have a bunch of different sayings like this. I have one that says, keep moving forward, love is patient, love is kind, kindness always wins. So just a bunch of different stuff like that because, I mean, if you're going to be walking around, you might as well be sharing the positivity on your shirt too, right?
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. And if you are going to be making such impact, you might as well get some income to come with it because you are doing great. You are doing so much that so many out there are not doing, wish they could do. So seeing you, having you here with me, hearing you speak, hearing you just being who you are with so much joy, you're so positive. I just can't take it. You're amazing. I love that hat. I will definitely support your business. I am going to ask you to plug your business in a few, but before I do that, I wanted to ask you the last question. What advice would you give to someone who's going through similar situation or any kind of lost in life?
It's a great question. If I had to sum up my message, which is a pretty long one, and in basically 30 seconds, I would say this. And whenever we're going through adversity, what happens is up until that point, we plan for the future. We have these grand things, and we're always thinking about the future and all that stuff, and our focus is wide, right? But when we go through adversity, suddenly our focus goes like this. And I kind of equate it to when you stub your toe. You know, when you stub your toe, all your focus is on that tiny little toe that is in so much pain. Yet we have this body that's totally fine. It's just your toe that's hurting. And that's what happens when we go through adversity. Our lives becomes focused on what is happening in the now, the adversity, the struggle, the pain. And what we forget about is this whole chance to live out this life ahead of us. And so what I try to tell people is, remember, whatever you're going through right now, in the grand scheme of life, it's a small moment. Even if it's going to take you a year or 2 or 3 years to get over, you still have this whole life ahead of you. Mm-hmm. And so if it's such a small moment, and if you can endure it well, if you can endure this pain right now, then you have this beautiful opportunity to live out the rest of your life. So please, please do not give up the chance to live this beautiful life because of what is going on in this small little moment. And so many of us give up that opportunity because of the pain that we're struggling with right now. And so that's the message that I want to leave with you, is just to keep moving forward, one step at a time, focusing on what you can control. And eventually, like I said, it might take a year, 2 or 3 years to get over. But then once you can get over it, you have these lessons to carry with you through the rest of your life. You can live out a beautiful life. And when I got in my accident, I thought, how am I going to live a life with this hand? It's going to be so hard, yada, yada. But I focused and I kept moving forward. And now I get the chance to live a beautiful life with 2 kids that I never thought I would have been able to have. And if I would have given up in that moment, I would have never had these beautiful opportunities. So just keep moving forward. And life can bring so much joy if you keep looking for it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Endless thanks. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much, Levi, for this. Keep moving forward. Life is fluid. Give yourself grace, grow through it. Don't focus on your right now. Grow through it with joy, because what's ahead is so much beautiful than what you're going through right now in this moment, in this space. So, Levi, thank you. Thank you. I don't know what to say other than thank you. I wish I knew you. You're just incredible. Your word resonates so much. You are so powerful beyond words. I totally love how you put it together, what you say, the way you're living your life, and your whole perspective. I love it. I am going to ask you, I know you sing. Yes, you just have your album out. I won't ask you to sing, but if you want to, feel free to do so. But you have the floor. I need you to connect your business. I am asking everyone to follow Levi. Follow his page. Is absolutely beautiful. You will live inspired. It's such an inspiration to be on Levi's page. You will laugh, you'll cry, you're like, oh. Those were the emotions I've gone through. So Levi, take it away. It is your floor. Just do everything.
Oh, you are so awesome, Berlange. Thank you so much. So if you want to get a hold of me for a speaking event, I do online engagements as well. Just go to my website. So it's levistanford.com. So just like the university, levistanford.com. You can find my music on there. You can book me for engagements and all that fun stuff. And also, if you go to the store, you can find my merchandise. So I have hats, I have hoodies, I have shirts with logos, and a lot of really positive sayings and different things like that. If you guys are just tuning in, Berlange just added my website down there, commented, so levistanford.com. You can find my music on there. Also, my music is available on all platforms, so Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, all that
Levi,
stuff.
sorry to cut you off. I think this person knows you when they say you better flex that voice. So I'm ready to see you flex, Levi. Don't flex.
Okay. Put me on the spot. I'll do it though. Okay, I'm gonna do it a cappella though. I don't got any backing tracks or anything, but
that's okay.
I'll do my title track for my. I'm so caught off guard. It's called Headstrong. So here we go. Gotta make sure I'm in the right key. You go ahead. Okay. You go ahead, try to put your poison in my veins. Yeah, you can say what you want, but on my shoulders is where my head remains. And who are you to judge from the things that I have done? Just because I have a past don't mean the past is what I become. I'm singing, whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe you don't know me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Beyond what you can say, singing. The time's ticking like a time bomb, and when it's all gone, don't say I never told you so. I'm living true to myself, thanks to your help. I'm moving on. Life's better when you've lost some, and when it's all done, don't say I never told you so. I'm trying hard to move on, 'cause I am headstrong. Whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a little bit of
Yes. How can we help? How can we support Levi?
Just share my message. If you see, just go through my videos on Instagram. If you like them, share them, whatever you can. That's basically my videos and stuff is my message. And go to my YouTube channel if you want. Just type in Levi Stanford on YouTube Instagram, all that stuff, all come up. I am verified on TikTok, and my TikTok is Cap'n Hook. So CAPNHOOK, like Captain Hook. Yeah, just share my content, because not only are you helping me get out to the world, but you're helping people with the messages that are in my content. And if you want, I actually put out a music video on YouTube that is kind of my pride and joy. I dragged Amy around all over the world when we were traveling, and I had her film for me. So it's kind of a bittersweet thing, but there's a music video that took me 2 years to make. And it's traveling all over the world, and it's called If You Believe. It took me 2 years, and it's all over the world. And it's if you've ever seen those transition videos that people do, where they're like snap their fingers and they're in a new place or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like that, but you can imagine being drug out for 2 years. There's actually a shot where I weigh 250 pounds, and then in the next shot, since I lost weight, I'm 220, and you can see how much dedication I put in this video. But yeah, if you want to check that out, by all means, go and check that out and share that. And yeah, so just share my content. That would mean the world to me.
Absolutely. And you guys, when you go on Levi's page, his website, if you click on the link, everything is there. His story, his merch, everything is one click away. I absolutely love it, and I will be checking out your YouTube video. So guys, feel free to do so. And also, before I let you go, I did tell Levi, so if you are here, if you are a photographer, you are in Alberta, you're looking for someone to shoot, Levi is the next person. He's got the face, he's got the body, he's got the perfect imperfection, he's got it going on. Okay, so book Levi. I'll be looking out for you as well, because I really believe you could be great, amazing at modeling.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Berlange. This has been a treat. Honestly, my pleasure so much.
No,
thank
you.
you.
Anytime you want to do this, anytime you're doing a live, you want me to jump on. I mean, I love who you are. I love what you do. I just love this. You made my job so much easier. Thank you. All right, Levi, well, have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming through. I really appreciate you, and I am sending you with a lot of love, light, encouragement, and peace.
You too, Berlange. Thank you so much. Anytime.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Levi. You cannot tell me he is not a walking testimony. You cannot tell me he is not a living miracle. This was the person on this life. I mean, we just witnessed greatness. We just witnessed a miracle. He is, thank you, Class Q. He is such a beautiful person, in and out. His courage is absolutely amazing, out of this world. This was Levi, and Levi, in this moment, to hear him say this was his aha moment. Like, this is when he realized, okay, I was meant to do this. I meant to go out there and encourage people while he's going through this and his chaos. He found peace.